RAGT22, and with a first-time attendee, incredibly awesome, very prolific, best-selling author, Carolyn Brown.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited that you're here.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Except that, like you said, we're both tired.
Yes, we're both tired. We're both tired. But that's okay. It's worth it.
Writers are notoriously introverted, so it's like dropping us in a volcano.
It is. It is. You know, I spend 8 to 12 to 14 hours a day in a room all by myself. And with the window open and watching the birds and squirrels when I can't get my characters to do behave themselves and talk to me like they should. But basically, I'm a hermit.
And here, if you take 2 steps, someone speaks to you. Then you take 2 more, and someone speaks to you. And it's awesome, but luckily it's short-lived because we get so tired.
4 days is good.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, and I would be really cranky.
Yeah.
Because if I don't write, I'm cranky. And my husband knows that, so he'll say, "Why don't you go in your office and just leave me alone?"
That's nice. But that's how you know you got a good marriage. Because I see on Facebook you and your husband all the time. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's my best friend. We'll be married 56 years in August.
Wow, that is amazing. I love that.
I was a child bride and I was a mail order bride.
A mail order bride?
Yes.
Were you really?
Yes.
Okay, that's a story in and of itself, so let's hear that.
My husband was in Germany with the Army, and I was in Tishomingo in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends was engaged to a soldier over there that was from Sulphur, Oklahoma. But my husband's from Pennsylvania, and I'm from Texas. Now, you can imagine the rebel and the Yankee there. So the friend's boyfriend sends home a picture of him and all these GIs in this picture, and I just picked out the one I wanted. I was 15.
Oh, no, yeah, really young.
I picked out the one I wanted, and I wrote the first letter. You know, we didn't have cell phones, phone calls, none of that stuff. So I wrote the first letter. He didn't respond, so I wrote a second letter. And his friend said, "You better write this girl. I think she's pretty serious about you writing to her." So he did, and 2 years later, I got my engagement ring in the mail, and I'd never met him.
Wow.
I got on a bus at age 17 in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and went to Pennsylvania, and we were married 6 weeks later.
And it was meant to be because you're still together. That's
Still together.
Amazing.
All of his folks said it won't last 6 weeks. We're not giving him a shower. There's no sense in it.
I'll prove them wrong, didn't you?
Now, 56 years later.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I bet it was so nice for him being in the military.
Yeah.
To get those nice letters.
Get those letters. I have all of his letters still.
You've kept them all?
Yep. I've kept all his letters. They're all tied up with a little ribbon. And my engagement's amongst them, so he can never deny it.
Mm-hmm. Did you, excuse me, did you make the family give you a shower after 40 years, maybe?
No. You know, I griped and carried on and threw fits because my mother-in-law never liked me. I mean, never. She just died recently at 100 years old. And the only reason she lived that long was she got up every morning, dropped down on her knees, and said, "Lord, please let him divorce her today." But he didn't. But she just recently died, but she never liked me at all, period.
I can't imagine because you're so lovable.
Oh,
I can't imagine.
Thank you. But she really didn't, and her baby boy deserves something much better than me. So that goes that way.
You know, we've read that in so many books. And it's nice to know because it really is true.
It happens.
Some people do that.
But she has given me so much fodder for books.
Yeah.
Oh.
The cranky old lady, she writes.
The cranky old lady, the one that you can't leave her house before 9 o'clock because she gets mad, but if you stay 1 minute later, then you have stayed too long.
Yeah.
So it's been good fodder for books. So I can't complain. She taught me how not to be.
Yeah, well, she taught you how to be nice and friendly and kind.
Yeah.
The opposite. People can always take a lesson from the ugly things in life. I feel like you can either emulate it and be ugly yourself, or you can become a nice, kind person and do the opposite.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad you did the opposite.
Well, thank you, Lori.
So I asked some readers who were going to be here if they had questions for you, and they had quite a few. These are the ones I chose. What are you writing next?
Well, what I'm writing right now is called The Lucky Shamrock, set in Shamrock, Texas. It's a flower shop, and 3 cousins have come to help run it for their grandmother. And course, all three of them are very different. One's a bar hopper who brings home one night stands. One's goes when the bar hopper's out to the bars doing the line dance and the two-step and this stuff. The other one is in Bible school.
Oh, well, that is different, yeah.
So they're all very different. And one has been in the service, so they don't get along at the beginning. So it's a friendship book. So the conflict's there, and you have to make them understand each other so that they can get along and be a family.
When's that one out?
I'm just now writing it, so it'll be probably, let's see, next summer.
Did you get the cover for that one yet? Because I know you told me you get really nice covers, and
I
you get a
do.
lot of cover input.
I do. I get a lot of cover input. But I haven't gotten the cover for that one yet. But she tells me it's going to have a shamrock on the front.
I'm guessing, yeah. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to have that.
So someone said, and I hope this doesn't sound insulting, I know you've been around for a while.
I have.
How many books have you written in total, and do you have some that are favorites?
At the end of this year, I'll have 129 books.
Wow.
And a few of those are novellas, but most of them are full-length books. Do I have any favorites? I love the books that I wrote with Agnes in them.
I've heard that a lot, that a lot of people love Agnes.
They love Agnes. That's called the Cadillac Series in Cadillac, Texas, which is a fake town. But some of my favorites. I really like The Ladies' Room. It was my first women's fiction and was turned down many times by publishing houses. Finally published. Been my bestseller overall when it was published.
That's a great title.
Yeah. The heroine in it is overweight. She's not skinny. She's not rich. She finds that her husband's been having an affair since their wedding night. So she takes off her pantyhose, ties them to the ceiling fan, and ties her ring to it and turns it on and leaves the house.
Nice, I like it.
And the rest is her finding herself and not letting anyone put her down.
Good
and I think
for her.
the reason it sold so well is it came out several years ago when nobody was writing books about women that weren't perfect.
Yeah, more voluptuous women, and they just didn't do it. Everyone looked like Barbie.
Mm-hmm. And then I wrote one called The Perfect Dress was plus-size women, and it went over very well, too, because everybody, we're not all perfect.
No.
We're just
No,
not.
well, I don't want to meet anybody that is perfect, or anybody that thinks they're perfect. That wouldn't be any fun at all.
No, well, if they are, they might just give it up and go into heaven.
This is where you getting, saints have to go.
Yeah.
This is where you getting to choose your covers help, because way back when I was writing still category romance, I had written a more voluptuous woman who had red hair. And when they gave me the cover, the guy was laying on a skinny blonde.
Oh, dear.
And I'm like, that cheating bastard. They haven't even opened the book yet, and he's already with someone else.
Right.
And back then I had no cover input at all, so it just drove me bonkers, you know, that he's with a much bigger redheaded woman and he's on the cover with a skinny blonde.
A skinny blonde.
Yeah. So someone said, do you take a break between books, or do you dive right into the next one as soon as you finish one?
I close out a book with the end, and the next morning I get up and open a blank screen and start again. I usually sign contracts on proposal. Of course, you do too. And I have deadlines to meet, so we don't take time off very often. Even when I do take time off and go what most people call vacation, I take my computer with me and I write while I'm gone.
Yeah, do you feel like, I always get antsy if I go too long without writing, because I feel like I'm not doing something that I need to do.
I get cranky.
Yeah.
That's why my husband says, go write.
Yeah.
I get really cranky if I don't. My characters just don't like me to leave them. You know,
Well, and it's tough. I feel like if I'm away from a book, like the 4 days that we'll be here, I lose my place.
I have to go back and reread it.
I do as well, because I got to pick up my momentum again for where I'm at. So it is difficult to go too long between books. Plus, I think sometimes people don't realize that you finish a book, but then you usually have a book coming out that they want you to promote, and then you're pitching a proposal for another book at the same time. So there's always some type of work to be being done, you know.
Yeah, because I write the book, and Mr. B does my first edit. My husband is a 32-year veteran English teacher.
Oh, wow, nice.
So he does my very first edit. So I don't worry about if I've got the commas in the right place, or I don't worry about none of that stuff, because he's going to take care of that and tell me what to do. And it's all on hard copy. You know, that's just the way he works. But then I do 3 edits with my developmental. And she's very good. She sends me a schedule. This is coming this day. This is going to be due this day.
Wow.
And I block 40 hours for the first one.
Wow. Yeah.
So we really work hard on that one. Then second and third, and then I do copy edit, proof edit, and final edit on every book that comes out. So there's always something to do.
Yeah, you're really good. You know, they often ask me if I want to read the final thing, and I'm like, no, I'm so over it.
Oh, yeah.
I've read these books too many times. I think you get to where your eyes don't see what's there.
That's
your
right.
eyes see what should be there because you know what you meant to say.
Absolutely. Well, now the final edit now at Montlake is what they call a cold read. And it's usually got like 10, maybe 20 little tiny errors, and they want me to be absolutely sure those are okay.
That's what you want.
But that's a cold read, and I don't have to do that final all read. If I do, Mr. B does it.
Well, that's good. You know, I found that with different, because I've published with different houses, a lot of times they have house style. So what one house where they want a comma, another house does not want a comma.
Absolutely.
So it's so subjective, you know. Now, for an English teacher, probably drives him nuts because he probably knows what should be no house style.
Absolutely. You know? And the old style.
Yeah, right. So that probably drives him bonkers.
Yeah.
Talking about those proofreads, I remember one time I had a book and I was reading it for the very last time, thought it was all done. This was an early book, and the woman had her hand knotted in the guy's shirt, but the R was missing in shirt. And my eyes just kept going past it, not seeing it. But finally on that last one, I thought that would have gave it a whole new meaning.
I had one of those auto corrects.
Yeah.
Don't you love auto correct?
No, I hate it.
So I'm in a sex scene, and we reached the end, the credenza, and it changed it to crescendo is the word.
Yeah.
It changed it to credenza, like a piece of furniture. And my editor said, Carolyn, this won't work in this book, but I expect the sex scene on a credenza the next time you pull one in.
On another book.
And another time I bought the wrong vowel. We had a pet duck that walked up the steps, and I bought an I instead of
Oh, no. That's awesome. That might need to be in a book, too. I don't know. That would be a tricky one to pull off. So it says, do your characters ever wake you up at night? I think I know the answer to these questions.
You betcha.
Do they interfere with your meals, driving, etc.? And do you ever argue with them?
Yes, all of the above, every one. They're real. They're real people in my head. They're not characters. They are flesh and blood real people. They talk to me. They sit on my shoulder. They argue back and forth to see who gets the most time and the most POV time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all real.
Do you do that too, where you start dreaming in dialogue? It's like they're talking to each other and you're trying to remember the dialogue.
Yes. And I'm going to sleep and they're arguing with me, and I'm thinking, I'll get up in the morning and fix it if you'll let me go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever I'll take notes in the middle of the night, and if I do, then I remember it. If I don't write notes in the middle of the night, then I wake up and I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
Something about when you write it down, it'll stick in your brain.
It sticks in your head.
Yeah.
It's like taking notes at school. When you take notes at school, you don't have to study a whole lot because you've written it down.
So the other question, and then we'll wrap it up with this one, favorite character and favorite cover. Someone wants to know.
Well, I always say my favorite character is Agnes, of course.
I knew you were going to say it, yeah.
But I also love Trudy in the ladies' room. My favorite cover is usually my favorite cover is the one that just came out. This is just coming out Tuesday.
Isn't that pretty? I love that.
And that's about the 4 little friends that meet up in Riverbend, Texas, and decide to turn an old church into a bar. It turns that town upside down for it. But I love that cover, but I think my favorite cover is the one coming in November called the Sandcastle Hurricane.
Man, you get some great covers, so that must be a really, really good one.
It's one of the best I have seen yet. I love that cover.
Now I can't wait to see it. Is it on your site yet?
It's on my site.
I'll have to go look for sure.
It's on my site, and it's already up on Amazon.
Oh, okay, good. They're so good about that, getting it out there so quickly.
They get my stuff out there for pre-orders real quick.
So I said that was going to be the last question, but I have one more, and then we'll wrap it up, because before we started this, you and I were talking about how many books we do a year. And you used to do so many, but like me, you're trying to cut back just a little bit.
Well, I'm cutting back a little bit. And then they'll flash a contract in front of me, and that's the end of it, the cut back quit.
I know. I know. We're so easy, aren't we?
Yeah, kind of like McDonald's, we're fast and easy. I will probably do 5 to 6 books a year.
Man.
One year I did 8 books and 3 novellas.
About killed you, didn't it?
My brain was fried.
Yeah, it gets to where you just, your brain is, there's a different kind of tired from physical tired and mental tired, but you get so mentally tired, it starts to affect you physically also.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to read. I want to just sit down and do nothing. I don't want to look at any words. So there is that. I love to read. I used to read a book a day. And then my husband retired.
Took care of that.
That cut that back quite a bit. So now I used to write a chapter and read a book. Now then I just write the words, and sometimes I get time to read, but not as often as I used to.
As I always say, it's like putting gas back in the tank.
Yes.
You know, you're refueling yourself when you're able to read.
Yes. But I don't read my genre.
No, I don't either, and that's some people do. But I always want a complete step away.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it feels more relaxing.
Well, I do it because I'm afraid that I'll pick up somebody else's idea.
Yeah, but you won't. I mean, and even if you did, you would write it in a Carolyn Brown way. Yeah. So it would be entirely different from someone else's.
I'm a big mystery reader, if I have time to read.
That's good.
Sue Grafton and Randy Wayne White.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I like that kind of thing really well. But I just, if I read a few for contest or something like that, or critique a couple or something like that, usually that's about as much reading as I get done.
But that always just feels painful to me.
It does.
I don't know why. Yeah, I got to admire editors because they have to read things they're not enjoying.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're reading, you don't want to be mean to people when you're reading 30 pages of their baby. There's, they've labored over that, so it's kind of one of those things you just have to be careful with.
I agree. There's a gentle way to point out.
Yeah. Except it's unless it's your son. So he wrote a book, and it's a good book, but he had no idea what POV or point of view was.
Yeah.
So he wanted, and he's ADHD, so he wanted to have three conversations going on in his head so they could be on the book, the same page, sometimes the same paragraph.
Yeah, it got a little confusing.
Yeah, and he'd come over to, we were in Pennsylvania at the time when he was looking at my edit, and he'd come over to my room and he'd say, I hate POV, I hate it.
For anyone that doesn't know, that's point of view. So,
yeah.
You usually have 2 characters talking at one time. The point of view is in one person's.
One person, you're in one person's head at a time. You can't be in 2 people's head at a time. And he thought he could do that, and but he's learning.
Good, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's learning. My husband also writes. My son writes, and I write.
Wow, a whole family of talented writers.
My husband's working on his 12th mystery book.
Is he published? Awesome, that's wonderful. What name is he published under?
Charles C. Brown.
I'm
actually married to Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Charlie Brown is my husband. And because of that, the kids buy us all this Charlie Brown stuff.
Yeah.
So my house is covered up in it.
Charlie Brown. Well, on that amazing note, because that's a lot of fun, you have to bring him with you next time you come to the event, because I'm assuming.
Oh, he's over there asleep across the hall now.
Well, we'll have to make him come as an author.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well,
I hope you enjoyed enough that you do want to return.
Oh, I will.
And
I will.
I look forward to chatting with you more, because you and I were in an anthology together. And other than talking online, we haven't really got to know each other. So
if we could have got old Fern up here, we'd have had
I
us
know,
all 3.
wouldn't that have been amazing?
Yeah. We did. It just came out recently in the spring, called In Bloom.
Yep, loads of fun. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.